73. And this week we're doing the top five. Since we just had New Year's, we're doing the top five things that we left in 2022. Uh, so, of course, this could be a personal list, it could be a funny list, it could be a mix of both.
Hello?
I think I can hear you now, Mason.
I can hear you.
Yeah, we got you.
There you go.
me? Echo?
Yeah,
we
hear
hear you.
Yep.
We hear you.
Okay.
Yep.
I guess it cancels everything else. So,
Yeah, you got the Kung Fu movie going on where your mouth moves and then we hear the sound.
So yeah, we that's our top five list this week. You can mix it in however you want to. You know what I'm saying? You can do, a mix of funny stuff, personal stuff, world stuff, social stuff, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I it was hard for me to whittle mine down. Like I literally just got done ranking it. I had the stuff written down, but ranking it was hard. And we got my fellow creator, Mason Easley down here, co-hosting with us tonight. Appreciate you coming through, man. For the conversation. Javon, I think it was a conversation. Well, I'll let Javon set it up because the other topic that we wanted to talk about is something that Javon was talking about on the page, and I think that it kind of carried over from a previous post on Facebook. So go ahead, bro.
Oh, all right, we can get into it. So let me find it. Tyler Martin, friend of the show, made a post recently. I think it was like 2 days ago, yesterday. I can't even remember how long ago it is. But
it was
anyway,
like 2 days ago.
It was like 2 days ago. Okay, I'm trying to find it. Here it is. I just want to make sure I read his words correctly because it kind of started off like it's got 106 comments on it. And he basically was saying the Black indie community should have come together a long time ago. Imagine if we had just come under Advent or Godhood or Concrete or even Black Sands or any other publication. It's too many publishers, not enough books. Books meaning published in store or known branded books, TV shows, and film. And a lot of people had a lot to say about it. I personally think it's a great idea, but it's almost a fantasy. Because we've seen this happen before, not with Black creators, but we've seen it with.
What up, bro? What up, Kenji? What up, Eddie?
Hey, what's up to all the viewers? What's up? We've seen this with other endeavors, be it Image, World's Best Comics, Dark Horse. I'm trying to think, Milestone. As Kenji said, it's a great idea for distribution, but I also think it becomes an issue because it's like you have a lot of people who are very used to being their own bosses, right? Yep. And then we're all supposed to come together and then be like, all right, who's calling the shots? Like, I mean, you could do voting, you could do a lot, but I do think from a grand scheme, we should be working together more. Oh, man, get out of here. That one barely count, man, but whatever, go ahead.
That's yours.
No, I thought you just put it under me. Yeah. You put it under you.
No, I didn't. That's clearly under yours.
Oh, my bad. You flashed it real quick. But anyway,
man, hold on. Let me correct.
You literally.
I didn't leave this in 2022. I didn't leave that. I didn't leave that. I'm just saying.
Hey, man, if you want to be rude, if you want to bring rudeness into the new year, I mean, that's your prerogative. Yeah. Anywho,
go back. I'm sorry.
I do think there's. I always wonder what's the point. Like from a distribution point of view, like we could all work together. We could all work together to do it, but it's like, okay, now we got to come up with a name. But even with Image, all those dudes got their own studios, and then eventually people started breaking off as their name got bigger. But when people say we could do it for distribution, my question is, why can't we do it for distribution right now? Why do we need to be under a giant banner to all work together to have distribution?
Mason, you wanna jump in, or you want me to go and then you jump in, or what?
Yeah. So first, I'm looking at this. You know, you got a light-skinned individual. Oh my god! Like you guys are so colored than me. And I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm jealous. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Hey, man, don't blame me. Blame the sun, man. Blame the sun. Blame the sun.
I'm about to move.
And we gotta have all shades, bro.
We try to hit the whole spectrum.
And I'm envious. Awesome. I've been he had a
you're breaking up
of artists.
Mason, you're breaking up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's saying your signal's good. I don't know if you still have your headphone on, maybe that's what it is. Like maybe if your headphone is still on at all, maybe it's catching that. I don't know.
You know, let me go ahead and
it's saying your signal's
good. Anyway, this should be turned off. I closed up the headphones connected now.
Go, well, Morgan, why don't you go ahead and then Mason, work on that.
So for me personally, I as a black person and as a black man, I would love to see this happen for the aesthetics of it, and for what could come from it. But at the same time, do I feel it's necessary? No, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary. I think of this in the same vein as I do a lot of the people that I look up to right now that are in the industry, whether they're actors, producers, directors, comic writers, in the industry at all, the entertainment industry at all. All of them aren't striving to be under one umbrella. You know what I'm saying? Like they all can help each other and all have their separate entities, their separate companies, and do those things. And to me, you know what I'm saying, that's what we should be striving to do. And that's what I see a lot of us doing. I think over time, but it's definitely partly like Kenji said, and like you said earlier, like it's too many chiefs and not enough Indians, or too many cooks in the kitchen, or whatever. That's a part of this. Being with it, having gone through it firsthand, in one iteration, and it wasn't like there were certain aspects that happened, but since I've been in doing it, I've seen it go. Multiple ways with multiple people, with multiple entities, and Danny and I are blessed to have had people reach out to ask us to, come on board with them, or let's collaborate or whatever. And I'm not necessarily opposed to it. It's just, to me, when you do it, there has to be a clear reason to do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be something that when you're doing this, okay, we do this well, you do that well, we can offer you this advantage and take that off your plate, and you can offer this. And these are two things that we can't do. Either we cannot do individually, or our powers combined can now make all of these other things possible. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it has to be things that are that much of it. To me, it only makes sense to do it if it's going to make that much of a difference. So like when people are saying, you can make this network for distribution, okay, but you're still going to run into the same problem, especially because money's going to become involved. And when it gets to the place where you're starting to discuss money and how it's going to be divvied up when it's made, that's where everything goes to die in in all businesses. You know what I'm saying? That's not just black people. I don't want that stereotype put on black people. You know what I'm saying? But that is just us. You know what I'm saying? But okay, Mason. Um, but I think that to me, in the iterations that I've seen it work. You know what I'm saying? I've seen it work. I've seen it be beautiful for time periods. I've seen it be beautiful um, in the long run. Like I love what Concrete's doing. Love Lonzo, and I love what they're doing at Concrete. I love everybody knows I love FSK. Um, uh, what Tyler's building at Godhood is dope. You know what I'm saying? Um, you know, and that's only gonna get bigger. Sebastian, you know what I'm saying? Sebastian Jones and what he's doing. David is a one man show. Greg and Marcus, Greg Anderson, Elise, Brian with Wingless Comets, and you know, Brian and Malachi. Like, and to me, as long as we are collaborating together as a community, I don't know that we need to combine entire companies unless, again, there is a clear advantage to doing so. Otherwise, like
Well, I mean, I don't mean to interrupt. The combining of the companies part is the part that's super unrealistic. And the only reason I say it's super unrealistic is we have all worked really hard to establish our brands. Like you just named a lot of people who worked really hard. You know, Tyler and Godhood, Concrete, Visually Stoked, Fourth Wall. All these people, we've all worked really hard. And so I think the ask is a lot to
I agree with this
say,
too, bro.
the ask is a lot to say, okay, you know, Morgan, Danny, you know, y'all not Fourth Wall anymore. Y'all, whatever we come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, there's no organization that can run without somebody calling the shots. Like there's always going to be like a leader.
What's good, Moana?
Hey, Moana's watching. What's up?
I'm telling you.
And I think when it comes to that, like who is willing to
Shoot, I should have had Moana. I should have told Moana to come on. Dang.
Tell Moana can come on, give it a link.
Yeah, I mean, of course, but
Moana, if you want to come on, we'll send you the link.
Yeah, she'll be back. She might be busy or something, but if she's not, I mean,
I know she always busy. That's okay.
Yeah,
or
no,
run or you can't even, but you can't even run with 8 people calling the shots because if you look, I really think
there's
that
still a hierarchy.
Yeah, but even I really think that people just go watch the history of Image Comics. Like just go watch the history of Image Comics. And you kind of can get a feel on how these things happen. Now, Image has been successful because when everything started to fall apart, one guy basically took the reins and evolved it into what it is now and was able to kind of push through the BS to get to where they are now.
Mm-hmm.
But it also came at the cost of Jim Lee, you know, selling Wildstorm, you know, Extreme Comics, Extreme separating off to do their own thing. I think the only people left, I know Wiles is still there but he's not as, you know, I don't think he does as much work now, but I think Todd, Eric, Jim, Mark, I think that's it. But like, you know, Image Comics sounds great. It sounds like a great idea in theory, but in practice, I think the best thing to do is, as you said, Morgan, like collaborate. Like you and I are in different studios. You're in Fourth Wall, I'm Visually Stoked, but we got this. And so we have a platform that we use to do our own books. But we work together. You know, I did a cover for Ace Blade. You know, I did an image for you, a pinup for Lumberjacks. We're all working together. And no worries. We gonna have you on at some point, Moana. You know, we're all working, you know, we done told people, you know, about this crossover that we gonna try and spit out at some point. But I think there need a lot of cross-pollination of talent and even properties is the way to lift us all up. because if I'm just throwing, if Ace Blade does a crossover with the antagonist, well, everybody that read the antagonist might go, oh, look at that, let me check out this Ace Blade. If Heat and the Acolyte crossover, I'm not talking about one big giant crossover, even though that would be really cool. But even if you did minor crossovers here and there, I think that's kind of the way to go. Let me see if we want to get them back.
Yeah, I'll continue while you do that.
You there, Mason?
Yeah. Hey guys. Hopefully this works a little bit better. I turned the camera off, so maybe that'll.
No, we hear you perfectly. You might be able to try the camera.
The camera might be straight because you sound great.
Yeah, you can give it a shot.
I think that I'm not saying that it's not possible, right? But I would have to look back at or talk to Tyler about this. Like if I had have known far enough ahead, I would have hollered at him to get him to come on so that he could.
No, I invited him.
Okay,
but he didn't respond, and I know he said that he's a busy dude, so.
Yeah, I mean, but
this was kind of a last minute conversational topic, but I thought it was really interesting because I personally, when I started getting integrated with you guys and meeting all these people, I literally sat down and kind of wrote out a pitch for everybody to come together. And then as I'm looking at the pitch, I'm like, I'm really going to ask all these people to give up all the work that they've put towards this thing. And that sounds great, but I just don't think it's sustainable for a long term.
I'll tell you another thing, again, from going through this. Crossing over of universes is another conundrum at times. You can do it, right? But at the same time, do you really want to storytell to a point where you're making something work versus it working? I'm very, very wary of and cognizant of, especially in creation, trying not to force a round peg into a square hole. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't like doing that. And in some ways, if you're combining different properties under one roof, then you have to make a decision. Okay, how many of these properties are all going to be part of one integrated universe? How many of us are just going to be spinoffs? We're going to tell our own stories, but we're still under this umbrella. It can be done, but that's also another challenge. It's another challenge to say, okay, well, my characters and where I was driving this story and where I've been driving it, this is what I was doing. And again, the other reason it's a challenge because that person's idea might be really, really dope and they need to run that way. But it doesn't mean that your story crosses into it well enough to make it work. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's another obstacle that you can run into in those situations. And like you said before, and like we've done, again, everybody knows how close we are with Mike and FSK and the creators over there. And we already have crossovers. We're doing crossover variants and we're doing like crossover stories. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. So I'll talk to Lori about it with Unlikely Hero Studios. But again, I am not. If you're in a position, if you're in a position like Sebastian, Tyler, David, who else? Who else got greenlit? Who else got greenlit? No, I'm forgetting somebody.
Well, Kenji, it doesn't always have to be a fight though. Like you could
it's not even a fight. Yeah. It's not even a fight. Like y'all can genuinely love each other and love each other's ideas, but you still
no. He's talking about the characters.
Oh yeah.
Somebody always got to lose, and I'm like, you don't necessarily. You know how many crossovers that happen where the fighting just stops and nobody wins.
That crap is lame.
Yeah.
I think crossovers work pretty good. I mean, that's an idea, but
Yeah.
I think what people are talking about are like, like the various indie companies joining together to form a giant conglomerate. And because obviously, if we can pull resources together, we'll be that much more powerful in terms of like, production and distribution. But like you guys said, I just don't think that's possible. Ego is a big one, but I think the major one is money.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
That's the
uh,
biggest one.
yeah, like because right off the bat, I know that as an artist personally, um, it, it'll cost a lot of money for me to draw someone else's comic book. Like my page rate would be astronomical because I will lose so much money drawing someone else's comic versus doing my own stuff. And I see submission stuff from like those major companies, I mean those major indie companies all the time saying, "Hey, you know what? You can submit to us, but there's no page rate." I'm like, well, then I can't
What?
submit to you because there has to be a page rate.
I've never seen
I
that.
cannot, yeah. So, I mean, I cannot draw like a 25, 40, 100-page comic book and not get paid for it until, you start making profit. I just can't afford that. That's too much work. It's too much labor for a chance. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I feel if I'm doing all that, I'll do my own book.
Yeah.
Take my own
I,
risk.
I don't disagree with you at all because I look, the number one reason for divorces of marriage is still money. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's still number one right now, and that's what people who are madly in love supposedly. So, and I'm not
Well,
saying
well,
that like,
real quick, like you mentioned Mike Watson.
yeah,
You know, me and Mike are really good friends, and we've worked together in the past. He's asked me to join FSK on a few occasions, and I would love to work with Mike. But the thing is that me and him have very different views on how comics are produced and how comics are made. I can't do what Mike does. Mike goes to like several shows, and he does like 110%. He's on constantly. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen the man. I mean,
yeah, Mike's the beast.
hardest working man in comics is Dandridge, but I mean, Mike's a very, very close second.
Yeah, Mike is a beast.
Yeah, and I tell Mike, I said, "Listen, Mike, man, I can't do what you do. I can't go to all these shows. I can't be on the road like you're on. I just can't do it." And just that difference in philosophy will cause like two companies to like not merge and not work together or coalesce. So
Yeah,
And you got to look at it like the levels that people's companies are on too, because if
Exactly.
you merging, like I keep it a buck, Godhood right now they got optioned and they got investors
Yep.
and everything like that. I'm not on Visually Stoked Media is not on the same level as them right now. I'm securing myself to be able to say that.
yeah.
But like if we merge, does he get a bigger say because he's bringing in more resources and income?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
it would become I could easily see conversations like that happening. And
No,
then
there's no
and then
question.
stuff starts to self-destruct like naturally because hold on. But that'd be a reason to merge though. If you can't be on the road and your partner can, that might work.
true.
I agree.
Yeah, but then once again, you're talking about money. Because if that person's on the road more, you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Like then it becomes, well, I'm on the road a lot. I should be getting X amount more money because you ain't on the road.
Yep.
And then you could be like, but it's my product that you selling that I made. And so, but you're right, it's just business. But business deals fall apart all the time.
I was going to say this. I was going to say this because that's what I said earlier. I don't think it's impossible. The biggest thing that you have to kill when you go into business, and Jigga just talked about this. Jay-Z just talked about this not long ago. Kevin Hart talked about it on the Pivot podcast. He was big on it. He was speaking about our community specifically, so that means he's obviously seeing it in circles that he's in, and he's in big circles. But ego is a huge thing, especially when it gets to that type of level. You know what I'm saying? So if you are choosing to merge with somebody that's already where you're shooting for, then if you choose to come into that situation not being humble in that regard, that's on you. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no like you if it would be like going to Shark Tank, you know what I'm saying, and having the possibility of making a deal with one of the sharks, but you still in your head can't
Yeah, but it's not even just ego though.
Most of it is ego.
I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying that there is no ego. I'm saying it's philosophical differences is what I'm talking about. For instance, I give you a perfect example. No, it's not. No. There's two different things. There's two different things, and I'm gonna tell you why it's two different things. There's ego, like you can't tell me what to do, and then there's like you got lumberjacks. Let's say fourth wall merge with godhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
But y'all merged as almost the secondary to godhood. And let's say Tyler was like, yeah, I don't really like the direction you going with your book.
Yeah, that happens a lot. That happens a lot, actually. Yeah.
But you know your story.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And you were originally had autonomy and you got into it. Like I got into this to be able to tell my story the way I want to tell it. And so if somebody who, yes, you have more success, that doesn't your amount of your success doesn't necessarily mean you necessarily know the best way to tell my story.
That's a fact, but it's still ego.
That's what I mean. But I'm saying that's what I'm talking about. That's a philosophical thing, though.
But it's still based on. So this is what I mean.
That's a creative difference.
But this is what I mean. In that situation, if you're coming into it, right, and let's say you have the right attitude about it, they're telling you from the standpoint of somebody who's made it to where you're trying to get to, saying, "Yo, I think we might need." It's no different than if like with Tyler. Tyler's got a deal to get Antagonist made into a TV show, right? He has to talk to producers, directors, and everybody that's on that set and a writer's room, you know what I'm saying, to be like, this is more the spirit of what it is or whatever. The writers write what they do, but they still have a back and forth and a work that they have to do together to ultimately get to it. Now, who gets to make final say is in a contract. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's why I said that's business. Because the ego comes in.
No, I agree that it's business. That it's business.
But the ego comes into it where, again, if you signed a contract, right? If you let's keep Godhood in there. If you signed a contract with Tyler saying we're going to work together to produce this is how we're going to work out in these situations. This is how we're going to work those things out. And then you get to that impasse and you choose to leave, even though you knew before you came to the impasse that's what it was. That's ego. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a business. You have to.
I mean, if from a theoretical point of view, yes, it's ego, but I also believe it could just be creative differences. Like creative differences happen all the time. Yes. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's ego. It means I have a vision, you have a vision, and our visions just aren't aligning. You understand what I'm saying? That doesn't necessarily.
And actually, I'll give you an example. I was asked to join an independent company, and I had like an older series called Second Soldier Kai. Second Soldier Kai was a black and white series, and I did that on purpose in order, because the feel of the book was going to be black and white. Well, the indie company that I was talking to, they said, "Hey, listen, we like Second Soldier Kai. It's a great book, but we want it to be in color. So we're going to need you to find someone to color, to color it. And we'll do a Kickstarter. We'll get color, blah blah." I turned the deal down because I said, no, Second Soldier Kai is a black and white book. It's going to be black and white. And the entire goal of the book is not to be in color. And that's how like the entire deal fell apart. And that right there, I mean, and that wasn't ego. That was more like, hey, I have my personal design for the book, my philosophy for the book, and you're not going to, knock me off of that because that's my creative control on the book. And
can I ask this? Did y'all have a business arrangement in place, or was it prospective? Like, did you have a contract that you guys signed?
No. It wasn't at that point yet. It was more like, we were still like in negotiations. We're going back and forth, like, hey,
but that's
not this, and I was like, nah. And so, I turned the offer down.
But that's my point. My point is that's still business. The two are going together. There's business and then there's ego. What I'm saying is the ego comes into it if you've made a business arrangement. Both of you guys looked at this contract, read it, agreed that that's what you're going to do. And then when it comes time for the rubber to meet the road, the creative differences come up, and you should, as business partners.
I see what you're saying.
Do you see what I'm saying?
No, I get you.
As business partners, you two have already agreed that this is what you're going to do. So now your job is to work through that. Because
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Again, if you get to the point where you realize you can't, you have all the right to say, all right, I just don't think this is going to work out or whatever, right?
Right.
You have every right to do that, but like you said, and when I say ego, it doesn't have to be negative necessarily. What I'm
That's true,
saying
too.
is, you see
Fair
what I'm
enough.
saying? I'm just
Yeah.
saying that's what it comes down to, because you guys both signed a business agreement saying, I think this would be beneficial for me to come to your business. I think it would be beneficial for you to come to mine. And something caused this not to work. Usually, of course, it's always going to be negotiation, which is the business part. But the creative differences could be the only reason, but it's still connected to somebody, again, in
But
that
that's why I said,
negotiation.
I'm
Like
sorry, go
Tommy
ahead.
Adeyemi. Tommy Adeyemi is one of my favorite writers. I'll say this real quick and I'll let you cook.
No, go ahead, go. Do your thing.
Tommy Adeyemi is one of my favorite writers. She wrote Children of Blood and Bone, Children of Virtue and Vengeance. I don't know if she's named the third book yet, but she's already got a movie deal. She was supposed to do it with Lucasfilms, and I think it changed. I think she's getting reproduced by somebody else. But one of the biggest things that was in contention for her was creative control. I've said in the past, for me personally, that's a big thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to give up control. I don't want to give up control of my IP. If you gave me, if the deal was $20 million, but they get control over the IP, or I can get a deal at another company for $5 million and keep control of my IP, I'll take the 5. That's just me, because I care that much about my IP and I care that much about where this character is steering, where it's going. So before I sign a business arrangement with somebody, that is going to be on the table immediately, already right now. Like, I'm not giving up creative control. If you want creative control for a character, I will create you a new character. I'll create you a new character or whatever, and I
You frozen?
give you
He
creative
froze.
control of that, and we can help craft this. Who froze?
You froze. You froze. You.
Briefly.
Briefly.
Yeah, for like a second.
Your Wi-Fi got
Oh,
ghetto for a second.
Am I frozen now?
Yeah, you're good
Am I
now.
frozen now?
Nah, you good now. Nah, you good now.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So, but that's my point. Like, it to me, before you sign that business arrangement, that's where the rubber meets the road right now.
No,
And
I absolutely agree with you.
Y'all have to figure that out.
Absolutely agree. But that's why I use the image model, right? Because that's why I'm talking about this theory of being able to merge businesses. I don't think works, because we all have different visions of what our products what we want our products
Yeah,
to be.
that's very true. Absolutely.
And the image model is actually a great model. Like it's an amazing model.
IP, right?
You keep control.
Yeah, I agree.
Keep the money. The only money that you share is the money goes into, I believe, distribution.
That's
like
smart.
Their money doesn't go into marketing. There's no Image has no marketing. You do your marketing. So basically, everybody, huh?
It's a smart model.
No. It really is a smart model. But once again, I go, well, why? There's no. It's not necessary. Like, the only reason it made sense for Image when it happened is because all of them came in on the ground floor at the same time
with huge fan bases.
The fan bases I'm not really talking about. I'm just talking about everybody said, okay, the 7 of them got together and said, all of us gonna make a book right now, new creation right now.
Well, yeah,
the
thing though is, but for example, when those books came out, like, you're talking about millionaires who can make millions of dollars off their books, like, from jump. Like, for example, like, let's say, like, all of us, put out issue 1 and we all made $1 million. I mean, that's like a totally different level of like, financial, financial economic power across the board. I mean, like, because after like Wildcats 1 came out, for example, Jim Lee greatly expanded his studio to like 12 people.
Yeah,
because he started hiring people because
Rob too.
Yeah, because I mean, they're making millions of dollars and they're paying insane page rates. But despite all that, they still collapsed, within 5 years. But that was more because of the ego situation.
Well, it was ego. It was also like, it was also creative on the level of it was also reputation, right? Because there were a lot of Image comics that Image developed a reputation of being late, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was stores were kind of hesitant. Like they were still buying them, but like if you had an Image eye on it, they probably, they looking at it like, well, I don't know when this second issue might come out. And so once again, that's an instance where like if I'm gonna use Concrete and Godhood. If Concrete's cranking them out on time and Godhood isn't, and I'm not saying that they don't, I'm just using y'all as an example. If Concrete's cranking them out and Godhood isn't, but there's no Concrete, there's no Godhood, there's the Blackening, whatever name you want to call, whatever name you want to call. Not a bad name. Hey, it's not a bad name. But if it's just that company, then I can see Lonzo looking sideways at Tyler like, yo, man, get your stuff together because you're making us look bad.
I think that's where the beauty of the idea comes in, though, is that if you, I just, because of what I see my counterparts, people that I look up to doing right now in the industry presently, that helps give me all the guidance I need. That doesn't have to happen. All of us can win and collaborate to help each other win even more.
Right. I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Like we don't have to come up under an umbrella. Where you may want to is, and again, that's it. That's a personal assessment that somebody has to make for themselves.
Very true.
So because everybody is not an executive, everybody's not a, you know what I'm saying? Like you could be great for talent. You might be an amazing writer, but the business side of things you're not good at. You know what I'm saying? And the way that you're going to make it is finding the right person that gets the business part. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like what me and Danny and Wally talk about this all the time. The brotherhood that we have that leads to the partnership that we have works because of who we naturally are. Danny is what's good, Ryan? Danny is impulsive. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because as a creator and as a content creator now, that's what got him where he is. Because Danny will think of an idea and he's just gonna do it right now. Like he can do it as soon as he thinks about it, right? I've made this joke 50 million times, but it seriously is my boy. Like Danny can walk in his house and like see a rocket on the TV and be like, I'm gonna build a rocket and put fourth wall on it. And I'd be like, nigga, why? And he'd be like, I don't know, it just seemed like a good idea. And I'd be like, all right, well, this is how our two brains work. I'd be like, I mean, I don't see why. Okay, but all right, wait. What is that gonna cost? How much is it gonna, I'm thinking about, all right.
You're pragmatic.
This might work, but let me figure out the numbers on how this is. Hold on. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. By the time I finish doing that, the next time I talk to Danny, he been and done it. And I'm like, nigga, why you couldn't just wait? You know what I'm saying? Like, why you couldn't just wait for me to, you know what I'm saying? You couldn't just wait for me to, like, we literally are partners, whatever. But that's how our dynamic works, because there's sometimes where I'm hand-wringing or going through the numbers and the semantics, but you got to go now. You got to strike now. And there are times where Danny has moved and made a decision where it worked right now, whereas I would have waited because I'm still trying to figure stuff out. You see what I'm saying? So you have to find that type of partnership or relationship. And then we have Wally that has been through and seen so much, and he can bring his wisdom to it, his business sense, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. And that's just how our dynamic works. You know what I'm saying? And you don't know that you can bring it everywhere else. But I know my lane with how me and Danny work together. I know how Danny knows his lane, you know what I'm saying? And we stay in our lanes and we just work together. And but it takes a humility to realize your lane, realize somebody else's lane, see their strength, and then rely on that strength, and they rely on yours. It's the same thing with any relationship, with a marriage, with a friendship. You know what I'm saying? A partnership should be a beneficial friendship. You know what I'm saying? If it's not that, then you're looking at this wrong, and y'all shouldn't be partners.
Yeah, and the bad news is that like a wrong move can actually end a friendship too. Like I've seen this stuff like wreck friendships permanently, and it's really sad to see. So
100%.
Morgan and Danny and I feel like we have a really great connection and collaboration with Top 5, right? Like top five is basically kind of fourth wall and visually stoked. Like, you know, it's a really good collaboration, and we work together on stuff. But like, you know, they're doing their fourth wall, and I'm letting you know, and I'm happy for them. But I've worked
what up, BJ?
so hard. Hey, BJ, what's going on?
I didn't know you. I didn't know you were doing that. All right,
Man. I know you said you stopped doing you stopped doing videos, but anyway, but I've worked so hard on visually stoked. Like I don't want to give that up. And also, like I said, I'm a bit of a control freak. I like to be my own boss. And you know what I mean? So like there's certain but like you said, there's certain people, and I had this conversation on Facebook earlier last week. You know, certain people don't want to do business. They just want to make comics, you know, and Tyler talks about this. Tyler talks about, do you want to make comics or you want to be a comicpreneur or whatever you call it?
Well, and real quick with that, I did ask Tyler and he didn't answer me. Hopefully he does later on. I asked him, in order to be a comicpreneur, can that include people who just do pinups and prints and commission artwork? Like, for example, like, let me think of somebody like Adam Hughes, for example. You know, Adam Hughes does no comics. All he does is covers, pinups, and commissions, and he makes hundreds of thousands of dollars. But it's all comic-based art. I mean, is that a comicpreneur? I would say, yeah.
He's not doing he's not doing he doesn't have like a business though. Like it's just
I mean, I would
call what I'm saying.
Business. Well, no, I mean, I would definitely say what he does as a business.
Well, no, what I'm saying is like I don't think he's incorporated. I think he just he is his business. Like he brings in income.
Well, yeah,
you know what I mean?
But isn't that still business? I mean,
well,
I mean, like if it's just you, I mean, isn't that just a business? Like, well, like for example, like if I do like a comic series and it's just me doing the entire thing, and you know I get option everything else, but I'm still running a business. I mean, isn't that still like a business?
That's fair.
I mean,
that's fair.
Yeah, but so for me, you know, I think what a lot of people miss is that for artists, there's like an entirely separate side of the business that isn't really talked about. Like, you know, people say business, you know, it's hard. For artists, you know, if you draw like a really hot woman, like let's say you draw like Jean Grey real good, you can make thousands of dollars, you know, from that one picture of Jean Grey and not worry about anything. Whereas, you know, if I'm selling like, you know, like an original IP comic book, it's a much harder sell. So for like a lot of artists, they just say, well, you know what? I'm not going to deal with all that other crap. I'm just sit back and just sell the Jean Grey picture for, you know, for thousands of bucks and, you know, make my money. And I think like a lot of people don't really understand that, you know.
That's a good point from BJ.
You know, it's a major part of the business. And that's also why like a lot of comic artists don't really mess with indie comics because the money just isn't there. Like I was looking at some of the page rates for you know, some of those people overseas who are doing like, you know, colors, pencils, inks for like $7,500. You know, I can get that from a sketch card, to be honest with you, you know, easily. So for me, it's like, okay, if that's the kind of page rate you guys are looking for, why would I want to work for that company where I can just like draw a sketch card for $100, be done with it, pocket the money, and like do something else? You know what I mean? So, so that's always like the pull that is working against the indie industry. It's like, you know, you got all these artists here in the States who are really talented, really good, who aren't doing indie comics. You know, they're doing fan art, they're doing like sketch cards, they're doing commission work. You know, they're just drawing random stuff, you know, eBay, whatever else, and making lots and lots of money and not worrying about this stuff at all. And you know, but I think that's definitely a problem going forward because one thing that I really liked about comics in my youth was just like consistency. You know, Jim Lee doing a run of books for like 20 issues. You know, McFarlane doing hundreds of Spider-Man issues.
Yeah, brother.
You know, all that stuff right there really, you know, makes the book better. You know, whereas, you know, an indie scene is like, hey, you know, issue 1 has one artist, issue 2 has a whole different creative team because, you know, we got to get a whole new guy in there. You know, and you know, I understand why that takes place, but I think that consistency, you know, really, you know, can hurt the business over time. And I think that's a really big problem that, I mean, I don't see how we can solve that one.
I don't know if well I don't even know if it's a problem. I think it's just a byproduct of the business. Like
Sure.
I know people who, and I ain't saying no names, but I know people who have indie books who are struggling to get art from their artists.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey,
Lord.
you know, I need this art. And they're paying these people and they're just not getting the art.
And real quick, buddy, and I got you real quick. So what happens is
Not
that
the
you're
same.
doing the pages, and again, I'm not saying this is right. What happens is that you're drawing those pages, and then someone comes along and says, "Hey, man, listen, I'll give you $400 to draw Wonder Woman,
Oh yeah,
butt naked, shaking her butt.
yeah.
$400.
I'll draw that right now.
Do it."
Oh, I
And-
have stopped books to do commissions.
Exactly. And oftentimes, that's what happens. And then, you draw that picture, and then someone goes, "Hey, man, that Wonder Woman was hot, man. Hey, man, how about She-Hulk?" And before you know it, you're doing all
Yeah.
these commissions, making all this money. And then, you're like, "Hey, man, where's my pages?" You're like, you know what?
Yeah,
F your book, man. I'm sorry. Bye. And then,
Yeah.
you know what? You get ghosted. That happens a lot.
And
It's a
the
huge
bad,
problem.
bad part about being an indie artist in those situations, again, unfortunately, I can speak from experience, is that you can have a contract, but the money that it's going to take for you to take that to court to get said
man,
money,
them things
that
are
you wanna
made out of
sue for,
tissue paper, man.
you know what I mean? Like it's it wouldn't even be worth your trouble by the time you got done. You know what I'm
Especially
saying?
overseas artists.
It 100%. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of it deals with trust on a level, and me and Danny have talked about this. Like Marvel, their artists are late. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So you know what I'm saying? Like it is a part of the business. It's a part of the issue, and it's unfortunate. I mean, a lot of the time,
The thing about what you just said, though, their artists be late. The thing about Marvel, though, is Marvel has such a deep well of talent to pull
True.
from.
Yeah.
Number one.
they got
Number
backup
two-
on backup on backup.
Right. But number two, if you burn a bridge at Marvel and DC,
Yeah, it's a dub.
that's a loss.
Yeah, but and the issue with indies is that we don't have, you know what I'm saying? We
The clout.
many
Yeah.
of us don't have that clout to be able to be like, all right, okay, my guy, well, F it. You know what I'm saying? You could do that, but if that artist is making money, if the reason that they're in that position is because they're making money elsewhere, they're like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It
Artists
don't
not
make no
have-
difference to them.
Nah, man,
Well-
this freelance, dude. Ain't no labor
Yeah, it's
union.
freelance. Ain't no union.
labor
Like that.
union, man. They tried. They
just
tried.
out
They
there.
have tried
Yeah.
to do the union with comic book creators for decades, man, and it's never gonna work. It's
No.
never gonna work.
Well, and honestly, man, Fish made a really good point on the thread about this. Fish Lake, he said
How did I
that
not
sequential
see it?
art is probably some of the hardest
See what?
comic art to do. It's hard. It's just really hard, laborious work.
And time consuming.
Drawing. I know someone says that someone thinking about someone doing art for them is as work intensive as drawing. It's not. When you're doing like sequential artwork, that's a lot of work, man. And you tell somebody, hey, man, this page needs to be done. And when you finish the page, they say, hey, you know what? I like what you're doing here, but can you fix panel 2 for me? All that stuff comes into play. And you got that versus like just a pinup. And it's just
Oh, yeah.
like, it's so much easier.
But
But that's why you
see.
see guys. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, bro.
No, I was like, that's why you see guys like J. Scott Campbell.
Oh, yeah.
J. Scott Campbell he just be doing pinups and covers
That's all he does.
and
The
making
same
a
pose.
crap load of
He don't
money.
care.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like it is what it is. And I think a lot of the people who have a little more success they just, if you get a lot of the writer artists now in indie comics because they don't have to wait for people. Like I don't have to wait for somebody to do my book. The
Same
pages
here.
get done when I do it.
Oh, bless, bro.
Like
You hear me?
like Heat number 2 is gonna come out when I finish it. I ain't gotta chase nobody down. I ain't gotta do nothing. And I like the freedom of it. As much as I would love to work with other artists,
Yeah,
I
true.
would love to pay them, number one, but number two, I don't have time to do my book and chase you down for your pages. Even though I do plan on working with other people, I understand. I've seen people, I hear about it all the time, people struggling because, and then let's keep it a buck. The other artists, they're probably not doing this full time. So they probably got a full-time job and they come home and some days they don't feel like drawing. I totally get that.
That's me.
I totally get that, man.
Look, that's what I can see, and the balance is that, and we've had this conversation before on the show. The balance is that we need each other in a lot of these cases because a lot of the artists that are incredibly visually talented they can come up with a story, but they can't carry it all the way. So you need a story. You know what I'm saying? They want to work with a story writer or something like that, and we as story writers need visual artists. I can have the greatest story in the world if I'm gonna tell, but I could have the greatest story in the world in my head. But if I'm gonna tell it through a visual medium of comics, I need somebody that can do it because I can't do it at all. I can do stick figures and this can be terrible. You know what I'm saying? So,
and we haven't even talked about how if you get a great artist on your book and then Marvel and DC come calling.
Yeah, buddy. Had that happen too.
And Marvel and DC come calling and they want to, because you could get an exclusive contract with Marvel.
Yeah.
And you are making way more than you doing on the indie.
Yeah.
And I can't think of an indie artist alive that's going to turn that down.
Yeah. So it just is. There's a give and a take, and it's a bad situation. But these are all situations that are outside of that greater conversation that we had about coming under one umbrella. Again, I'm not going to say that it's not possible, but
I'm with you. I'm with you, Mason. It's a logistics nightmare, dude.
Sorry.
To me, the two biggest things that would have, number one is it doesn't. Well, okay, let me say this. I don't think that
Bro, you stupid, man.
I don't think.
Hey, man, it's not that bleak, man. It's about finding somebody that has the same vision as you, and just having the understanding that, listen, man, life happens, dude. What'd you say?
I said having to understand they can catch these hands.
Hey, man, you just have to you got to understand that, like, life happens, man. Like people get new jobs every day. You know, like people, you know what I mean? Like,
man, I'm feeling bad now, man.
I don't feel bad. I tell people the truth, man. I tell people the truth. You listen. You probably are better.
You should always tell the truth. It's just a matter of, for me personally, this is where my dividing line comes in. Whether it's a verbal contract or a physical one, if I decide that if you want me to write for you, and I agree that I'm going to write for you, and I say I'll get it done by this time, right? If I don't get it done by that time, at the very least, especially if you haven't paid me already, at the very least there's going to be a discount on what I require to be paid because I'm late already. If I'm more late, it's more of a discount. If I'm crazy late, at that point I'm like, all right, well, and communication is also a huge part of it. Because in a lot of situations, we're artists too. We understand you get home, it's like, nigga, I'm not editing nothing today. I'm not editing nothing today. I'm not writing today, whatever. All artists understand that. So if
all right, Moana.
If you could just Moana, please don't get me started, okay?
Hey man, we ain't gonna be bashing artists here. No, I'm just playing.
No. I'm just
playing. I'm just playing, y'all.
I'm saying it from a standpoint of again, all artists, we're all creatives. We all have days where we don't want to do it, whatever. But communication goes past a long way. If you could just say something to me and be like, "Yo, bruh, I know I said I was gonna have this joint done by here, but my nigga, I don't feel like it." You know what I'm saying, or whatever.
Yeah.
That's fine. You know what I'm saying. I would far rather you say that to me than just be stupid late and then be like, "Hey,
Morgan.
bro, no." You know what I've had happen to me?
Morgan,
Damn.
imagine having that conversation with
Damn.
yourself. Imagine having that conversation with yourself. You
What
the
you mean?
writer and the artist.
Oh,
And
but you
that's-
can put your own. I mean, you can if you
No,
want.
man, because you know there are days where the businessman in me is like, "Yo, this page needs to get done," and the body, and the artist is like, "Look, man,
No,
Ain't
but that's what I'm saying. but still,
I
communication.
be having straight arguments in my head, like, oh,
It,
Well-
but you realize what you're doing. You're still communicating.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
Here's
So to me,
but honestly, guys, you know, here's a big problem with this. We're dealing with an industry that is based on 1940s, you know, economics, where we're like, you know, you could pay an artist peanuts and they will sit back over a bullpen and draw for 12 hours a day with no problems. You know, and then you flip it, and you know, you can sell a comic for like $3 and make millions of bucks. We don't live in that world anymore. You know,
shit.
you know,
Look,
remember,
the internet and everything else has
this ain't
changed
even
all
the
that stuff,
90s. In the 90s, you could make millions of dollars off comics. They were making
You still can.
millions. I mean,
You still can.
you definitely can. It depends, especially because we just had this conversation about going up on what the price is. If you don't,
when I say make millions,
you're
they were
disparaging
making
yourself.
millions off like $3-4 comics.
No,
Keep it a buck.
but it's about profit margin, just like every other business.
That's fair, but
But
they
that's
were
what it
selling.
is.
Well, let me rephrase it. They were selling millions of copies. Let me rephrase
Yeah,
it. It's
but-
hard to sell millions of copies now.
Yes,
But the point
it
is, though, is that, you know, back in the day, though, you had that, you know, that stable of artists that you could call on to, you know, produce all that stuff. Like, for example, like Jack Kirby
Yeah.
could produce
point,
like
Reverend
6
Aaron.
comics a month with
Mhm.
the, you know, for peanuts and, you know, amazing quality. It just isn't like that anymore. So again, you know, it's like what I said, we have an artist problem. And the artist problem is that, you know, you have artists who have so many other options besides doing a comic book. It's like what Fish Lee said again. You know, Fish was right. Fish said you got to love this to do
Oh
it.
yeah.
You know, as an artist,
Oh,
you
no
have to
question.
love doing comics. You have
Dude,
to,
if I didn't love comics, I wouldn't be doing this. Real
exactly.
talk.
There's no, but I think that definitely goes both ways though, because once you've been burned like that, again, if I'm writing,
I agree with you, Imani.
if
I don't think there's anybody making
Nah,
millions
not
off
off the comics alone,
comics.
not off
alone.
Look up. Okay. All right. Wait.
Comics
Look up.
alone.
All right. Look up Ava's Demon on Kickstarter. She had 3 Kickstarters, $500,000 each one.
Okay. Let me
Off a
separate.
webcomic.
Well, let me separate it though, because we're talking about Kickstarters and I'm talking about sales, because it's kind of two different things.
Okay.
It
Well,
is two
not
different things.
pre-order.
It is two different things though.
is it?
Yeah.
pre-orders. I mean, Kickstarters are pretty
There's
much
pre-orders, but like I'm talking about people selling books over the counter. You aren't making, like, there's crowdfunding and then there's book sales. To me,
Okay.
that's kind of two different things.
Yeah.
Kickstarter is sales, but it's two different things though.
It's sales, but it's not sales. What?
Well, what I'm saying is, like, when you do a Kickstarter, you're not just getting the book. You're getting the book plus you're getting this and that. Like, if you know what I'm saying, like, you're
Agreed.
getting stuff on top of it.
Okay.
I'm
Right.
not saying I'm not saying that you still aren't making $1 million.
I'm waiting on you to explain.
But
so
it's
I'm
not
saying that.
just the comic book that's making the millions of dollars. It's all the ancillary stuff that comes along
The
within
tiers.
Kickstarter.
the
The
tiers.
tiers.
That's based on the comic.
Huh?
That's based on the comic.
Right, but that's what Imani was saying. People making millions off the comics plus licensing and everything
Merchandising.
else that goes.
Well,
along with it.
no. Well. Okay. Okay. All right. There's no merchandising going on. All she's doing is like, okay, look, here's my graphic novel for my webcomic, which, by the way, she's also making thousands of dollars off the Patreon on top of it too. So it's Patreon money, it's Kickstarter money. It's web hits, all that stuff combined. She makes millions off of her comic. I mean,
So
it's a
she's.
comic
I'm
store.
asking a question. So she's not giving T-shirts and any of that other stuff that comes along in the Kickstarter. The incentives.
I mean, well, I'm sure she has like comic based items like charms and stuff like that. Probably, sure.
But
I mean,
but that's
I mean,
kind of
but
what, and I
That's what
understand what you're
Divine-
saying.
that's
That's
what
what I'm
Divine's point
saying.
is.
That's what I'm saying. hold on. I think Kickstarters are different, but I don't agree with Javon's explanation. Comics do the same thing based on that argument.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
what I'm saying is Kickstarters aren't just generally
There we go,
aren't
Moana.
just the comic
That's
book.
what I said. It's
Comics
about
is
everything
absolutely.
comes down to profit
Absolutely.
margin.
Absolutely.
All of it. So
Absolutely.
again, if you wanted to make a bunch of money off of the comics, then you have to change your profit margin and make people believe
yeah.
that they should pay that, right? If you can do that, then you will make millions. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're, because again, Mason made a great point about now the industry and because again, and that's something I'll point to Tyler for too. He made a post earlier this year talking about people are charging too little for their books. And he's absolutely correct. You know what I'm saying? That's a fact. You know what I mean? Especially if you popping. If you popping and you have a fan base at this point, or like you have Kickstarter followers that follow you, your people that follow you will go with the price as it. Number one, they already do, because almost everybody I know, everybody I know that runs a Kickstarter, you give away, you do the physical copy at least $15. You know what I'm saying?
They're July
at
too.
least 15. At least $15-$20. But that's my point. So and your backers, your fans are paying that up front for those pre-orders. So to think that you can't go to cons and sell it for the same price,
yeah,
it's kind of
I mean, I'm learning that right now.
Well, and real quick about Eric July, I'll be very interested to see if he can keep that momentum, you know, in other graphic novels that, you know, for example, like Ism 2 and 3, you know, I want to see if he can make millions off of each one, or if that was just like a one and done kind of thing. Where like, his boys are like, oh, Eric's making a comic, let's all support him. And then, they get the comic, and then, that buzz, that fever is over, where they come back for like number 2 and number 3. Whereas, the girl who did Ava's Demon, she did her first Kickstarter was what, 300,000. Second one was 400,000. Third one was 500,000.
But I love seeing that.
I think it's like up to 500,000. It's insane.
I mean, that's a beautiful thing for me.
I love seeing that, because it is absolutely possible. Part of it is the same thing as every business: luck, marketing, a quality product, and the proper pricing. You know what I'm saying? And being able to read the room, because every business in the world, rich businesses and poor businesses, made a killing this last year and the year before that on inflation alone. They just because they could charge stuff, whatever. Fast food restaurants were making. I'm talking about money, bro.
Man, a Big Mac for $10, man. Come on, man.
I'm telling, bro. Man. You went from being able to go to any fast food restaurant and get a whole meal for $5 just 5 years ago. And now it's going to cost you at least, God help you if you supersize it or something, it's going to cost you at least $8 to $10.
Nasty ass Big Mac for $10, man.
Exactly,
bro. I got 5 people in my family. I got 5 people in my family. If I go to Chick-fil-A,
that's $60.
That's like 60 plus.
100%. But
don't let me get something like a milkshake.
It's not that the price on some of those things hasn't gone up, but what businesses are always going to do is push the envelope just as far as you tell them they can. You know what I'm saying? So if you raise your prices and say, okay, the comics are $10, and your people have no issue paying that $10, cool. You might stay there for a little bit, but if the economy continues to go the way it does, push it again and see what happens. You know what I'm saying? And if people are saying, all right, this is getting to be a little bit too much, then either you find another incentive for them to pay for that, right? For them to pay the new price, or you go back to the old price. You find a medium ground because you want to make sure that you take care of your backers, which is why Kickstarter is such a dope model for continuing to do that stuff. Because when you want to innovate things, the first people to innovate it to is your direct fans. So the people that have held you down, that have given you the money to continue this journey, you can try it with them first before you take it to the rest of the market and put it out there in the streets. You know what I'm saying? So it's
there's money to be made. There's money to be made. Yeah. You just got to figure out the best way to do it. Yeah. And like you said, you got to get lucky too, because you got, and not only do you have to get lucky, but hold on, this is why unfettered capitalism is ultimately the antithesis of the atmosphere of the arts. I mean, the arts and money have always been intertwined, man. Like
Yeah.
I know, we like to believe that there was a point in our lives where art was just art and it was never about money. Art has
Definitely not.
always been about money, man. It's
Yeah.
always been about money. If you make a piece of art and somebody sees it and they're like, "Can I buy it off you for $5?" You might not have made that money, made it for the money, but you gonna take that money
Yeah.
for the
Unless
most
it's
part.
personal, unless it's very personal to you or something.
But even sometimes there's always a price though.
That's
A
true.
lot of times is all that
That's
person
any
got to
business.
do is reach that price.
That's any business. I just peeked at Ava's
Hold on.
Demons. Sorry, please.
Hardcover books and animation. Hey man, listen, it is what it is.
Hey, yeah, no, and if you could offer that again, it's
You can
winning.
do it.
That's my point, and it still comes back to it. It comes back to your like all of those things work together. Luck is a part of it, but it's not the biggest part. Like planning, having a quality product,
Yep.
marketing are probably the top three things. Because Kickstarters, the one of the keys to figuring out Kickstarters is making sure before you launch that Kickstarter, you have a good run up. People know about it before you launch. The more people that know about it before you launch, the better. And that's why Kickstarter literally gives you that advice and says, look, if you don't make, 20%? Is it 20 or 30%? If you don't make 20 or 30% of your goal within the first 3 days, usually that Kickstarter doesn't make it. You know what I'm saying? So you always want to come in with the bang. And the only way for you to come in with a bang is marketing to make sure that people know that it's coming out. Make sure you can get it in front of as many people as possible. And that's where you love to be able to have somebody like how Mason was talking about earlier with the dynamic between him and Mike. In that situation, if you're the artist and you know what you do and you stick to what you did, and again, like me and Danny, if you know that, you know what I'm saying, then you play off of that. So if you know you got a mic in your stable, you better, you know what I'm saying, you do your part and hold it down, beast it, and let Mike go do his part and what he naturally does, and he beast it. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the fun comes in. And then when it comes to Kickstarter, planning it well, marketing, and there's luck in it because the luck of it will be all right. You've been marketed and you decided to run this ad campaign. You're watching it closely, but let's say Charlemagne the God who loves comics, for whatever reason, somebody sent this to him. One of his boys saw it, was like, yo, this joint's dope. And Charlemagne shouts it out on the Breakfast Club. Boom. Is it all luck? Absolutely not. It's not. You know what I'm saying? Because you had the marketing had to have reached him somehow. You know what I'm saying?
Well, okay, and real quick with Ava's Demon, the reason why she made that much money was because she had a long-running webcomic for years and built her fan base up.
Yeah.
So by the time she got the Kickstarter portion of it,
boom,
she got ready to roll. Her goal for her first Kickstarter was $70,000. So she already knew that she had her fan base ready to go when she dropped that Kickstarter. But on top of that, though, too, check out her Patreon. Her Patreon also, she makes $9,000 a month off her Patreon alone. So she's getting $9,000 a month off her Patreon. She's getting hundreds of thousands of dollars every quarter for Kickstarter. I mean, do the math. I mean, that ain't bad. I mean, it's more than what I make.
Now, I don't know about her. Is she the writer and the artist?
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's
she's winning then. My God,
she winning. She
look her up, man. Yeah.
I'm gonna look her up. I might have to invite her to Stoke podcast. But Greg, we gonna have to talk.
Greg and Marcus were one of my early harbingers for that because I watched Greg. I watched that Tuskegee airs. Their goal was 10,000, and that campaign ended at like 153 or something. Bruh. That's what I'm freaking talking about. Lori smashed Miss Medusa this year. Yep. I think their goal was 7,500 or something like that, and they did. I think Miss Medusa did like 15 or something like that, maybe more. But then when they did the crossover joint with Hannibal for the board game, what was it, 50, 60,000? Yeah. I was so proud of her, but I knew. Again, but anybody that thinks that they snap their fingers and that happened, no. Lori's a whole beast out here. You know what I'm saying? Lori is a whole beast out here in these streets, bro. She works her behind off to get that stuff up, to make those relationships and do the marketing. Moana, same thing.
Yep.
Moana is a beast when it comes to doing the work, the background work, putting these things together, making sure the teams are right. Moana's a monster at that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So might too. That's what I'm saying. The people that we know in the community, and the blessing of our community is nobody in our community that I deal with, that I talk to, has issues sharing game with anybody else to try to make sure you win. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can say that of Tyler, I can say it of Sebastian, I can say it of TJ, I can say it of Greg and Marcus, I can say it of I can't think of anybody that I've approached to talk to them about something, and they were like, I mean, I would tell you, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I haven't had that experience. I can't speak for everybody, but I have not had that experience. You know what I'm saying? And that's a true blessing, because people could get to the place where they're at, where you get options, you got a TV show, you looking at a movie or whatever it is, and forget the people that they used to be in the community with. That happens all the time in all businesses.
True.
You know what I'm saying? And I can say about the people that I've spoken about, that hasn't happened. You know what I'm saying? Tyler don't have to come on this podcast. You know what I'm saying? He don't have to come on this podcast. He don't have to go up there and put those posts up. He don't have to give away that free game. Russell Nolte, he puts out great information on Kickstarters. You know what I'm saying? And gives away game. Afua gave, when I say Afua went on Moana's joint and dropped diamonds, bro, like, they don't have to do that. Sebastian, TJ, you know what I'm saying? There's mad people that are out here winning that you don't have to look at over there. You can touch them. You can reach out to them. You can talk to them.
I want to address what Amani said. His question. Successful Kickstarters aside, why hasn't any of these properties broken out and found success in the mainstream? My thought.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, I think he's talking about all of the products that all of the content we're talking about. My answer for that is, number one, there's a lot of competition, right?
But
like, there's a lot of properties out there and a lot of competition. The mainstream is not dying, dude. Eddie, we went over this, man. Eddie, we tried to talk, man. We went over this. We talked about this for like 2 hours. There's a lot of properties out there that are all vying for like attention of Hollywood. Right, so just think
Hollywood
about
looking. We need to make sure that's established.
Right, Hollywood is always looking. Like, let's
looking.
keep it a buck. But listen, if you think about this past year, how many properties last year that had stuff come out, for even all the Marvel stuff and all the DC stuff, you got The Boys, Invincible, Umbrella Academy. I mean, I could keep going. Like, there's all this content that's coming out.
That Mercury, whatever, that was trash. I don't know
what
the joint that came on Netflix with the guy with the white suit and the red boots.
Yeah. With the that,
it was trash, but
there's just so much content. It's just so hard. It's hard to stand out, and it's hard to get eyes on you, right? Like, Morgan made a good point about how sometimes Jupiter's Legacy. Sometimes it takes luck. Like, Tyler came on and talked about how the antagonist blew up.
I agree with that, bro.
You know, yes, he has a quality product. Yes, you know, he has a great hit pitch, but a lot of it is right place, right time. You know, like you said, if I mean, you know, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like, I could have, you know, somebody could find heat and be like, hey, put this in a movie. You know, I just want a character reading a comic book, and this has happened. They just need a character reading a comic. They don't need to tell you what's in the book. They don't do nothing. The person could just be on the screen doing this.
Yeah,
and then
that can blow you up.
Like, what's that book?
Yeah,
and then people are on their cell phones. What's that book? What's that book? And then
you never know what can make you go viral.
Never know. Never know, dude. So
Danny,
it's just go ahead.
Danny blowing up on TikTok literally happened from, I think the first, if I'm not mistaken, the first viral joint that he got on TikTok was him going to the grocery store. Is between these two. He went to the one that's got the most views, I think, ever. He was playing putt-putt with his son. But I think the first one that went viral was he went to the grocery store with $10 and said, "I'm gonna see if I can buy my family. A dinner with $10." Right? He said, "I'm gonna see if I can buy my family a dinner with $10." And we saw the numbers start coming, and me and Danny are sitting in the back, like we're watching the numbers, and me and Danny are sitting there like, bro, we done did way better sketches than this. Like we've done like really funny stuff that people like and people laugh at that didn't come close to these numbers. Why do people care about it? You know what I'm saying? Like you will
You
never
don't
figure
know.
out what makes something go viral ever, bro. Like you never know. You know what I mean? So part of it is and this goes to the drive thing and being able to choose out who you're going to partner with, right? Because Issa talks about it all the time. I pay very close attention to the people when they speak that I look up to. Issa, I've said their names 50 million times, but Issa talks about that all the time. Is that you have to be able to identify the people around you that are going in the same direction, the people around you that are going in the same direction that you can partner with, and y'all can be on the same wavelength to get to another level. You know what I'm saying? And and being able to identify those people, work with them, and build something with them can change your entire life.
Well, to Amani's point, I think there is a level of superhero fatigue. There is.
But we've done that too, Moana.
I think like the younger generation is definitely more hooked on Japanese manga, partially because Japanese manga has a lot more variety than DC and Marvel does. And I think the engine of our industry is definitely the youth, because a lot of us got into comics when we were kids, and a lot of the kids now are reading My Hero Academia.
Yep,
they're reading One Piece. They're reading Naruto. And those books aren't necessarily superhero. Now, granted, My Hero Academia is, but Chainsaw Man isn't. One Piece isn't. Naruto isn't. I mean, it has superhero qualities, but it isn't like your old school tights and capes style superhero book. And I saw a friend of mine. He has a comic. It's a superhero comic, and he said, "Hey, why don't you read my comic?" And the first thing the guy said, the first comment was, "Okay, what makes your comic different than any of the superhero comic that I've seen? Because I've seen a ton of them. What makes it different?" And he couldn't answer. He was like, "Well, my guy did," and it just was like everything else. So
it's huge.
Yeah. If you can't pitch your book, you can't pitch your book. Don't do you exactly. You might as well not. Don't change the book.
I think that's part of the problem is that there is a level of superhero fatigue. There just is. I think Marvel experienced that a bit with the box office this year.
Yeah.
Marvel and DC not paying their artists on time, rumors, but that's supposedly going on as well, and that's because their overall sales for the comics are down. That's part of it as well. So we're entering an industry where the consumer base has shifted.
Images are
going to cons.
Image is a big thing for that too, because a lot of Image's biggest hits have nothing to do with superheroes.
No, exactly.
I think the more
and real quick, I think overall, the crowd is like, if I go to like a convention now, the kids are wearing manga cosplay. You might get 1 or 2 kids wearing Spider-Man or Batman, but the majority of 15 to 25-year-olds, they're wearing manga cosplay now. And anime shows have a lot more energy than your standard American Comic Con. And I think because of that, we're having issues, going mainstream, because the mainstream now is heavily manga influenced. And, the movies are definitely Western comics, but I think like the youth culture, the animation, the comics, the toys, a lot of stuff now is heavily Japanese manga inspired influence now.
I think
or gamer, right? Yeah, gamer too. Yeah, gamer also is huge.
Video games too. I think one of the big things that people look for though is that's also like we talked about this on the show with Eddie. Was it last week or the week before last?
That's not that's not what he's saying, Eddie. Eddie, he's not saying that mainstream is dying, dude. Like I promise you, if you look at the numbers, Marvel's numbers are very good. DC's numbers are very good. They're not like I think it's about how you look at it, right? Because you can't compare it to say the 60s or the 70s or even the 90s, because
or the 2000s even.
Well, the thing is that the bubble popped in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
It's
The bubble
it's
popped.
generational too. Like
Right.
I talked about on the last show. It's
Oh yes.
some of it. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Javon. I just
No,
wanted
no,
to say
go,
that
go.
It part of it.
Well, hey, Morgan, real fast with your stuff about
I messed Morgan all up. Man. I messed
when
Morgan
you mentioned
all up.
generation, real quick.
Yeah,
I started watching Naruto in my 20s. Now my kid is watching Naruto's kid in the sequel series. Okay, that's huge because like that means Naruto has a complete story from beginning, middle, and end. I grew up with X-Men. Okay,
that
all
too
right?
though.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. I think it like we talked about this when Eddie was on the show.
Yeah.
It's not a fluke. It is not a phase. But at the same time, what it is different generations are interested in different things. So like our parents' generation, they grew up loving Westerns. You know what I'm saying? They love Westerns. They love those big Hollywood movies with Clint Eastwood and, you know what I'm saying, and all that type of stuff. And now you have directors like James Cameron, those goats, Martin Scorsese, you know what I'm saying, that made those films, the Mafia movies when that blew up. All of those things were things that like did mega numbers back in their time period because those are the things that they were very much so interested in. There were comics around then, but there were no comic movies. You know what I'm saying? There were no comic movies out like that back in the 70s and 80s because
there were comic movies, but they weren't on the level. They weren't taken seriously.
Very low budgets.
The majority of them weren't taken
because the money wasn't there.
Well, unless it's like the big dogs, like Superman and Batman got the money. Like Superman and Batman were there in the 80s.
Yeah, but
the 70s.
But my point is the majority of the populace for where like what films were making major money generationally were still,
but that always changes. Right.
That's exactly my point. That's my point. My point is per generation. My point is per generation, there's going to be there's always going to be a shift that you can decide to go with. Again, I'm not for putting a round peg in a square hole. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, not paying attention to the things that are going on around you is just a detriment to you. You know what I'm saying?
But real quick, to be fair, I was watching, Dragon Ball Z as a teenager. Me too. It was hot back then. And it's still hot now.
God, y'all made me feel old.
100%.
Kids still love
Dragon Ball Z. But that's a part of the shift,
No, Javon. I was watching it back in the 90s.
Oh, okay. I was about to say.
That's also a part of the shift, though, Mason. Like we were the bridge to that because we're the big change.
Anime was niche back then too.
Exactly. Remember. So you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like there were a whole bunch of animes to watch here in America.
Well, Toonami came out in '98. Cartoon Network, Toonami, the afternoon block, where they had, it was Dragon Ball Z. It was like Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah.
And it was Smurfs. That's like 25 years ago.
But the ones that were doing, the only one that was doing major numbers was Dragon Ball Z was doing major numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like all of them joints popped off the way that they're popping off right now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it was a smaller.
So is Superman. So is Batman. So is Spider-Man.
True. That's a good point.
Because Into the Spider. So the funny thing is, people when you say the mainstream is dying off, and then Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse comes out, it'll probably do like a bill.
You know how much money the Marvel Phase 4 made, even though people.
I'm just saying, like people like to say these things about like, oh well, anime is kind of taking over. Anime is popular, absolutely, anime is popular, but we ain't gonna act like the MCU ain't popular, dude.
Yeah,
the comic books might not be selling on the level that the books do or the movies do, but they're selling.
And people, and at this point, how many times can you reinvent the wheel? That's what DC and Marvel are really facing. They're really facing how many times can you reinvent the wheel? Like you can give us a new DC universe, but your target audience for that DC universe that you're rehashing is still our generation. You know what I'm saying? It's not this younger generation because they're not picking up those books. They're already on anime, manga, and all that.
But also, I think a big issue that Marvel and DC have is that their movies, have no relation to the comics they're producing. That's a huge
That's the
problem.
good thing.
Like for example, like if you're like into like Avengers Endgame and you
Amani,
go to
what's
the
the
comic store to
point?
pick up Avengers, totally different story going on. You're like, well, what's this? This is not the same characters I just saw in the movies.
But I think that's more of a problem for
What was
Marvel
your
and their
point, Amanda? Say it
marketing,
real quick.
and then for the actual like the store owners, right? Like if you are working at a comic book store and a kid comes in and wants to watch, read something that's close to the Marvel movies,
Yeah.
you got to be able to be like,
You got to be able
okay,
to direct
go
them to
get this trade paperback over there.
Mhm.
Because it's funny, it's really funny. I was at Barnes and Noble, right? And I was looking for something for me, but I saw this couple, and they were looking for something for their kid, for their nephew or something. They were looking for their nephew or whatever. But I'm always trying to, I'm a seller, I'm trying to get people, whatever. But I was like, do y'all need some help? And they were like, yeah, we're looking. He likes the MCU movies and da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, all right, bet. Pick up Infinity Gauntlet, pick up Avengers Forever, pick up such and such, and you'll find something that is as close to the movies as you're going to get.
Well, okay. And Kenny, real quick, man. But here's the difference. If a kid comes to the store and says, hey, man, I want to read Naruto from the beginning, where do they go?
Yeah.
Well, there's Naruto number 1 right there.
Yeah.
And guess what? And guess what? That follows the anime almost point to point. So it gets to the point where like people are saying, hey, man, are you watching Naruto, man? Man, no, I'm not watching it. Well, check it out, man. Read the manga so that way, you can catch up to where we're at. And that just makes it so much easier to form a community of readers. So then you got kids hooked on the anime and the manga. So guess what? They got games, they got toys, and before you know it, the kids are now fans of that. Whereas with Marvel and DC, if you watch Spider-Man Homecoming, like, okay, that was cool. I really like that. Now let me go to the comic shop, pick up Spider-Man. Well, which one are you going to buy? Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Miles Morales Spider-Man? You're going to be confused.
The same thing happened. The same thing happened with Walking Dead. Same thing. It's the exact same thing. Like when they started making the Walking Dead series on TV, the books, I'm sure the books were popular and doing okay. But once the TV show blew up, even though the storyline on the show had to differentiate itself from the storyline that was in the book drastically in a lot of cases, that's just to make sure that you're capturing both audiences. You want to make sure that you have the audience of people that know these books backwards and forwards, so you can't give them the exact same thing. And you want to know, and the people that don't know anything don't care. But you need to make sure that you can mix up both. You know what I'm saying? And Walking Dead is winning on both regards because you have people that love this show. So now it's like, oh, snap, there's graphic novels for this. You know what I'm saying? Then you go back and read those graphic novels and it just adds to that knowledge and the lore.
So there's an inherent problem with being able to do kind of what Naruto is doing, right? Because if you look at, say, Invincible is a perfect example of adapting a book that only has one source, right? There's one run of Invincible. It goes start to finish, and they can literally adapt it pretty much head on for that, right? But for, once again, for Spider-Man, it has existed for so long that when people are making the book, they're just picking, they're kind of picking and choosing parts that they like. And I do think there is a little bit of, it's weird to me that somebody would go see the MCU movie.
I agree, Monty.
And then
I agree.
When the X-Men franchise hits the end, it's
gonna be insane.
But I do think it's weird that I don't really want to see the exact same thing, just in a different medium, right? Like I do want to see something that's a little different. Mm-hmm. I want it to follow the spirit. So it is weird for me that if you're a kid and you're like, you come in and you want to see Spider-Man, but you want it to look and be exactly like the movie. You already watched the movie. What's the point of coming and watch the cartoon? That's why, if somebody said, I watched the MCU movie and I kind of want to see something similar, I'd be like, bet, here is this big, thick, I can give you 100, I can give you 12 trade paperbacks of Ultimate Spider-Man. Start to finish, and you can have a ball. And that will eventually lead you into Miles Morales. And I think it really just that comes down to if you are behind the counter, or if you have a kid who, like, I take pride in the fact that people come to me and ask me questions about what comics their kids should read because they like X, Y, and Z. Because I can point them in the right direction. And I think there needs to be a lot less gatekeeping and a lot more shepherding of the medium from all of us who claim to love the medium.
Well, and real fast.
I understand that perspective.
What Amani said also, I want to hit on that real quick. I guarantee you, when X-Men hits the MCU, right now, their current storyline is going to be completely wiped out. It's going to be totally rebooted. So everything that you read from X-Men up to this point is going to be meaningless because they're going to start over from issue number 1 to catch the craze from whatever movie they're making. And that's another big problem with the mainstream.
Well, but the mainstream is only following what the people want.
True.
Because,
True.
and I'm talking to you, I'm saying, because, and we all know, because we all sell books, how much people want number ones. Like, you could bring, we all know you always bring more number ones than number 2s and number 3s. Because 9 times out of 10, people going to get that number 1.
I'm about to add number 3.
Because they want
I'm not buying number 1. I'm not buying it.
You not buying number 1?
No, because there's no point. Because I know, like, in 2 years, it's going to get rebooted again. So there's no point in reading that story.
But I'm just saying in general. I'm just talking about in general. People like to get in on the ground floor.
Collectors do. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily like to say
I
that
think
readers
do
really
too.
want to.
You just made the point about Naruto, though.
Well, okay, like for example, when I was a kid, I got X-Men #1 by Jim Lee. Part of the reason why I got that book was because Jim Lee had been drawing X-Men for 2 years, and it continued a storyline that had been going on for years. The problem is that nowadays, when they go to number 1, everything that I've read before is totally washed away, and they start over again. It's a complete reboot. New artists, new team, new characters, and it throws me off. So it got to the point for me where I just stopped buying the book.
Yeah, but again, that goes to our, you're going to do a number 1 because collectors want to come in on number 1. Like, yeah, that's it sucks. Like, because again, when I came into comic book, Spider-Man was on 200 and such, and I didn't care. I picked up the book, I liked it, I read it, I kept reading. Or you know what I mean? Like, back then it didn't matter. You could have a book that had 300 copy issues before it. But I hit a point in the 90s where number 1s were the most important thing. And that's why you keep seeing them go. Like, I just saw somebody on Twitter talk about how Marvel pretty much said, we're done with ongoing series. We're basically putting out miniseries. So you get about 4 to 6 issues. If it's really successful, you get about 12. If it's really successful, you might even stretch it to 24.
Okay, all right. But do you think that a story of a franchise is stronger if you have a beginning, middle, and end versus a storyline that just keeps going almost like a soap opera that never stops? Do you feel that the story with the beginning, middle, and end has a stronger narrative and possibly like a more loyal eventual fan base than like a storyline that keeps going and going and going and reboots itself, retcons itself, changes the main character, goes back in time, changes everything. I mean,
it depends on the property.
Opinion, I think like the story that has the beginning, the middle, and end is the stronger franchise overall. Like, for example, with Naruto's over story-wise, but it's still a very strong franchise that people can go back to and read the story from beginning, middle, and end. There's always been one Naruto to start from, and the ending is always there for people. And there's a conclusion to the story. Whereas with Spider-Man, I mean, like, what's happening now in Spider-Man? I don't even know what's happening right now in Spider-Man.
But again, I look at it as like runs. Like, when you think of a beginning, middle, and end, I think of a run. I'll give a perfect example. I've been reading the Immortal Hulk by Al Ewing. It is fantastic, and it is 50 issues long.
Sure.
And now they're on to another Hulk story. I'm good. I read the beginning, the middle, and the end. I got my beginning, middle, and end. So you can get the beginning, middle, and end based on like a run of a creative team, and you don't necessarily need to follow that creative team over to the next thing. Like I don't generally follow, like I don't generally follow like one character all the way. I like creative teams. So if Mark Waid does something, like I love the whole Mark Waid run of the Flash of Wally West. That's a beginning, it's a middle, and an end. Boom, I'm good. I go back and reread it all the time. And then I move on to the next run. And I think people need to start looking at it that way instead of going, well, this X-Men is going on forever. Find a run that you like, read that run, and if you want to step off, and then go to something else. But we have to evolve how we think of comic books. It's not the same as it was in the 80s. It's not the same as it was in the 60s and the 70s. It's different. Morgan, we can't hear you.
Uh-oh.
I'll say this. And I had muted myself because I was typing. I'll say this, and then I'll try to get to the list. If we'll ask them, do they want us to continue down this line, or do they want to hit a list and then we come back?
Well, we can do the list and we can come back. I love this topic because it's
well. I don't want to veer the conversation if they're not really interested in the list and they'd rather just hear more of this.
But that's my hold on one thing. That's my thing, Eddie. Though you're saying the majority of younger readers don't want to do that. And I'm saying why. It's literally the same thought process as starting Naruto and then ending Naruto. If you, for instance,
I don't think that's true either, to be honest with you.
Hold on, no, but like Ultimate Spider-Man. Let's look at Ultimate Spider-Man. Ultimate Spider-Man starts at number 1 and it ends at God. I don't even know. It's like over 100 issues.
It's coming, Kenny.
Dude, all right, let's do the list. I told you I could go on this one.
Yeah, I don't know that. All right, that's why I asked, because I don't think that was ever gonna.
Ken, you said be the brand.
I tried to let it. No, he's right.
No, go ahead. Let's do it.
I tried to let it breathe, and we'll come back to it if y'all are still interested. Just let us know.
Hey man, shout out. We got 12 people watching. Shout out to everybody who's been watching, who's been following along.
So the list that we did this week is the top 5 things that you left in 2022. Mason, did he tell you about the list? Did you do one, or you didn't have a chance to?
Oh no.
Okay.
Nope. Sorry.
All right, bad. Cool.
Man, get with it, man.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah. So me and Javon will do our list. If y'all got lists, put them in the comments. Put them in the comments, and then once we talk through the list,
well, hey, real quick,
come back to the conversation.
Number 1 for me is stomach flu.
That
can stay in 2020. That was horrible. So go ahead, guys.
I'll at least say this: these conversations are extremely necessary, and I appreciate y'all having them. Hey, well, I'm glad that
appreciate you watching.
We're able to do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad we're able to do that, and people want to hear it. Like I said, I'll steer back to it if that's what people want after we do this list real quick. So I'll go first. It's fine. Top 5 things I'm leaving in 2022. I was going to lead off with, it should be obvious, and all of us should have it on the list. Kanye West. I was gonna start.
You literally told us not to put on the list.
I did. I said y'all can't put him on your list because I said it as an example.
He's on my list.
He's not on my list. He's not on my list. I'm saying I said I was going to put him on the list. The reason I did not is because I don't even want to bring that attention to him. So you know what I'm saying. So
why you say go?
Get
on the list, man.
Number five. Somebody who was equally as problematic to me in a different way that got under my skin more, which is impressive. Bishop freaking Whitehead in New York. The pastor that got robbed allegedly in his church while he was giving the sermon, and then everything else ensued afterwards. That man made me so angry so many times this year. Then he got arrested just like a few weeks ago, and he's still in the same thought process, the same everything, talking about himself in third person. All of the things. Bishop Whitehead is. I might literally ask him to play the preacher when I get option for a movie. He might be the embodiment of the preacher. It's startlingly terrible to me, and I'm very disgusted by it because you're melding. Kanye does this too, but you're melding the church and the reasons that people hate the church right now, and you're the perfect embodiment of it. He's left in 2022 for me. Stay there. I don't want to see anything else from you. Number 4 for me, bad planning. I can have. There were a lot of things for me this year, in 2022, that I thought I planned well, and apparently I did not. um, or I fell short in some place or whatever, or I didn't like fully get out all of the pieces that I should have. And I want to be way more consistent with that, because if I fix those plans or have more contingencies to them, my success level will skyrocket. Go up a little bit, it will skyrocket. So for me, bad planning is another thing I'm leaving in 2022. I have to fix that. I have to elevate and get better on that. Number 3, Donald John, fake name Trump. I wish I had have left him far longer ago, but January 6th hearing, the tax returns being released, all of the cases being against him now. Perfect, great, awesome. We are right at the precipice of Act 3 of his epic failure, and I would love to that epic failure, like the cusp of it, be right at the end of 2022 and 2023. Just him going, he don't have to die or anything, but I would very much so like him not to be in the national news unless it's for the trouble that he's wreaked on this country and the world. So he's left in 2022. Number 2, not vacationing. Last year, those who watch the show, y'all know, was a hard year for me and my family, with little man being in and out of hospital all the time. And his mom does a way better job. Now, part of it is the schedule is conducive for her to do so. But if I worked it out that I was going to go out of town this weekend or whatever, she would totally work with me to do it. I just am not mentally. This also kind of goes with the bad planet thing, but I'm not mentally putting myself in a place to make sure that I get away at least a little bit. And I think vacationing is a huge thing. It's a huge cultural change between us and how the rest of the world lives their lives. But I'm getting rid of that. That's left in 2022. I'm definitely going to fix that this year. And it's very, very much so a big part of me taking steps forward in my life. Number 1, detrimental excuses. And what I mean by that is things that I know that I can do better. One, because I've already accomplished them before, or I know I can do better because it's just about creating a pattern, and I know how to create patterns. I literally read Atomic Habits and other books that talk about creating patterns and being able to do those things and when doing them. But I want to get rid of those things that are, like, in the long run, me making this excuse right now and putting it off or procrastinating or whatever it is that comes with it will have detrimental effects on me, my business, my future success, my health, all of these type of things. Those things got to be left in 2022. It's a process. You don't snap your fingers to make that happen, but that's my number 1 thing that I want to fix this year. Those are the things I'm leaving in 2022. So that's my list.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Here we go. So mine's are kind of personal, and there's a couple of them that's funny. At least funny to me. Number 5, what I'm leaving in 2022, man, this crappy Patriot season, man, that could stay right there in 2022. Just stay your behind right there. We have had enough. You just stay right there, sir. I'm done with it. I have had no joy from sports this year, from football this year, man. No joy. Number 4, slow art production. I draw too slow, man. I gotta speed it up, and that's one of those things I'm trying to focus on. Trying to get it down to a page a day. If I can get it down to penciling and inking a page a day, I'm gonna be a happy man. So we gonna stop the 2-3 days for one page thing. I know I got a full-time job, but I know I can draw faster. Number 3, the anonymity of visually stoked media. I think, some people know me, but, not enough. And I'm trying to up my profile as well as the profile of visually stoked media. So, I want people to kind of think of me in the same vein as, we've been talking about a lot of names like, Tyler and Victor and Michael Watson and all these guys. I'm trying to get on their level.
Excellent.
This year. Yeah, absolutely. Number 2, financial instability. I ain't broke, but my money goes real quick for things that it need be. But I'm hoping that with the rise in visually stoked media, the financial part of it rises as well. So that's just a level of financial stability personally and professionally is what I'm hoping for. And then number 1, and I know Morgan's gonna like this one, I am arguing about the T'Challa recast in 2022. We done with it. I'm done. Don't ask me about it. I don't want to talk about it.
You cannot tell me God's not real, sir.
I've been arguing this doggone recast for
Lord.
How long we been doing this podcast? Almost 2 years.
Lord,
we literally started this podcast
forever
because of the T'Challa recast. I'm done with it. The movie is out. It is what it is.
That is so good.
People stop asking me because people love asking me, and I think they just get a kick out of it. I'm over it.
I say recast.
That is a great thing. That's a great opinion. I'm not arguing this anymore.
Hey, at least you'll never argue with me again.
No, I know. I'm never arguing with you about that. We've beaten that horse into.
I try to tell Tyler that he just don't be listening to me, bro.
No, man, Tyler will never let it go, dude. Tyler gonna die on that hill, yo.
I gotta figure out how I'm gonna cut this down. Number 3. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna cut down number 3, because it's too long for me to put all those characters in. How can I cut that down?
I figured it. Just
I want to post it on screen, but I can't because it's.
Who, me? Mine?
No. Yeah.
Hold on. I got you. I'm gonna send it to you.
Line. I just want to get it on screen so everybody can.
No. I got you.
Let's see. Let me. That'll do it.
Here. Try this.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, that'll work.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, man.
Great list, guys. Excellent list.
Yeah, man. I think I talked about this on here last time, but I think I talked on another podcast. But my thing of every year, I don't generally do resolutions. It's just my philosophy that I want to be in a better place than I was the year before. Like, I don't want to be stagnant. And so, everything for the most part on my list is to get me to another level. Like I am, we all in competition.
Rejoice with me, Kyron. Rejoice. Yes, Lord.
I just want to bring it up. All y'all talking about hallelujah and all that. Y'all the same people that was asking me for my opinion on it. And y'all was the same people bringing it up. So don't act like y'all ain't culpable.
I did not ask you, sir.
Sir?
I most certainly did not, sir.
You've been preaching, you've been saying hallelujah and amen. Don't let the Lord strike you down where you at. Don't let the Lord strike you down where you at.
He ain't got no reason to strike me down. Not for that.
I'm with you, Moana. I hold on. That number 5 for Javon should have been done a long time ago. Listen, man, we had a chance.
Lord.
We had a chance. Listen, I was right there until I
Lord.
saw a running back lateral to a wide receiver who threw
magic.
the ball backwards 20 yards to the quarterback in a game in which they are tied and there is no time.
Yep. My boy just gave away our the championship last week to just Tom Brady's over there. You know what? Let's play conservative. It's fine. 4th and 3. Let's punt it. I mean, we're right there on the 40, but it's fine. Let's punt it. It's cool. Our defense will hold it.
We are on the 10-yard
Backup
line,
corners in,
and the best player on our team fumbles.
Makes me mad. It makes me mad to think about it.
I told y'all, I get no joy from football this year. So,
Any given Sunday, guys. Any given Sunday.
Whatever, man.
Nah, man, don't. Dude. That just rubs it in, Mason. It doesn't make.
Hey, before we keep going, prayers to what's his name?
Yeah.
Damar Hamlin.
Oof. That was crazy.
That was surreal, man.
And let me say that sincerely. Sincere prayers, like literally pray. Yeah. If you're not gonna pray, just don't say it. But because I hate that. I can't. That's one of my big pet peeves. I hate when people say thoughts and prayers, or put up little prayer hands. Motherfucking well, you ain't pray. If you're not gonna pray, don't.
To a lot of people, that's the prayer.
Yeah, I be wanting to fight people doing that nonsense, bro. But yeah, definitely. Like, I definitely
want me to burn something. I'll burn that jersey right on my front yard. Just burn it.
That injury was extremely scary. Hey, as long as you don't be fronting about it, that's fine, Kenny. It only irritates me when you lie about it. Like that's just. It's like when politicians get up there after a shooting and say thoughts and prayers. Man, shut! I'll punch you in your face. I can't stand it.
I mean, I felt bad for both teams. You could tell that they were kind of waiting to hear
funny.
If he was okay. I mean, he's funny. It's funny. You don't think it's funny? I think it's hilarious.
No, it's not funny. It's again, Ro. Think about the preacher, and then think about Bishop Whitehead. I'm just saying, okay. And I haven't even dug in my bag with the preacher yet. Like, wait. Watch.
I find individuals like that funny. So.
You can catch his hands.
So Mason, man, you got to give us one. Give us another goal or resolution for you this year, man.
I mean, maybe try to be a bit more available to people who seek advice and need help. I've been kind of like in my own little orbit for a while, and I do like talking to other people about this industry that we all love, and I think I could be a bit more vocal and active than I have been. So I think that this coming year I want to do that.
It's funny, you usually hear the opposite.
Yeah.
You usually be like, I'm trying to people leave me alone.
Yeah, I got my own little world going on because I write and I draw and I kind of do my own thing, and I don't require a lot of money to produce comics. I make a lot of money in freelancing and in my day job. So, I'm kind of like a self-sustaining engine. So I don't really like dabble, or work with other people. But, I want to change that because, I like my little, indie comic crew and family. You guys are pretty cool. You guys have always, been there for me, supported me. So, I think I need to get back a little bit.
We try, man. We try. I'm with you though. Like I understand. Like being that I do the same, it can be really easy to be in a bubble.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Both these podcasts help prevent that for me.
Exactly, Moana. Exactly.
Man, I'll close my bubble in a hot second. You understand me? Like it's fortunate for me, but it's unfortunate the way that it happened. I think it's just a gift like that. I have always known how to compartmentalize things, but because of my son's health and how up and down it is, I have to know how to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
How to compartmentalize things, put it where it needs to be for time being, so I can function here. And you know, one thing that I've learned in the past 2-3 years, especially, which is why I said this year I'm going to stamp out. I'm leaving that not vacation and thinking 2022. I have learned to make sure that you find time to decompress. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? And whatever way you do that in, people do it in different ways. Some people do. Yeah, he's back home now. He's back home now. He's doing great right now, and
Oh,
and
that's
I
good.
pray it stays that way. You know what I'm saying, all year. You know, but it having a loved one that has those type of medical issues that are ongoing or back and forth, because he had gone 4 years without having to be admitted to the hospital, and then this past year he was admitted at least 10 times this last year.
Sure.
So you know what I mean, but it you know, when you decompressing is different for different people. For me, one of the best ways that I decompress is video games. If I It's the same as I love storytelling. Period. I don't care where it's being done at. But video games allow me to be focused on something else other than what's happening around me right now. So my mind gets to go somewhere else. I'm having fun. I'm engaged in some other way. You know what I'm saying? That just gives me that
Escapism.
time to kind of, you know what I'm saying, decompress. For some people, it's working out. You know, like there's different ways for everybody, but it's very
Sure.
important. So I definitely want to make sure I encourage people. If you don't take time for yourself, people call it me time, whatever you want to call it, make sure that you are doing that for yourself. Self-care is very, 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 very
It sure
important.
is. Absolutely.
So, you know, just make sure you find time for yourself, man. And God knows I had to learn that lesson the hard way the last 2 years. So,
I mean, I'm with you, man. I used to be when I was first starting in the industry, when I was first doing heat, I was doing like all-nighters, trying to get pages done. And I think right around the time of when I finished my first graphic novel, I had done a, and I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. I had done an all-nighter on my birthday, the day before, and on my birthday to get it done because I had a con coming up within like a week or two. So I had to get it to the printer by a certain time. And I was so exhausted. I went to Chick-fil-A to get some food, put my head against the wall, slept for like 30 minutes. Like that's how tired I was. And at that point I said, I can't do it anymore. Like I especially now that, you know, my son is 4. And you know, he still kind of gets up in the middle of the night from time to time. So I need sleep. So I kind of had to say, okay, I'm going to get sleep. Like vacation, yeah, but like I can't go to bed any later than 12 o'clock. Like I can't.
I wish I could do that. The
I
only time
it's
I go to
hard.
bed, I'm about to say, the only time I go to bed before midnight is when I literally just pass out. You know what I'm saying? Like last week, my boy was laughing at me so hard, and y'all were laughing at me on the show when I fell asleep. My sleep schedule is really wild. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they do, Eddie. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? My sleep schedule is wild when I have my son because he's fed by he's fed by a GJ tube. So I have to change his food out. He's fed by like milk. So I had to change that like every 5-6 hours. So and make sure he gets turned so he's not just laying on one side all night and stuff like that. So in general, like he gets his last meds at 10. I stay up till 12 to make sure that I turn him. Then I gotta wake back up at like 4 or 5, turn him again, go do everything else, and then you go back through the cycle. So when I have my son, my time for sleep is sporadic. Like I sleep for maybe 3 hours, get up, go back to sleep for like maybe 2 hours, get up, go to work. You know what I mean? So at times there's going to be times like Javon and Danny were laughing like crazy. I can't remember what show it was. It was probably 2 months ago, maybe.
Man, we were arguing about, me and Danny were going back and forth about Jordan and LeBron. Next thing you know, we looking this fool is like this. and wouldn't wake up. We like Morgan.
I had no idea I fell asleep, bro.
Or we were yelling at you. So Danny was like, "Yo, we should just go, just leave it on."
These mugs left me on air live, bro. Knocked out sleep. Not for seconds. Not for seconds, for minutes, bro. I'm sitting here on camera like this. Literally.
At least 10, 15 minutes.
Literally knocked all the way out, yo. These mugs left and came back and just left me live on air. I'm like, yo,
I came back. Danny didn't come back. You just make sure you understand that. That's your boy.
That's effed up. But I'll do that. I was playing Call of Duty last week. I was getting ready to play Call of Duty last week, and my boy, I had the headphone on and everything. My god brother was like, he called me. It was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. He was like, bruh, you had me dying laughing, man. You was on the headphone, knocked out sleep in the headphone. I was like, dang, bro, that's crazy. Cause I know y'all have had that sleep where like you are actively engaged. It usually happens when you like watching sports or something. It's a game you want to see, but it creep up on you, bro. Next thing you know, you slump and you wake up. Oh, snap! The game over. Who won? I know that's happened to y'all, bro. The older you get,
not for Patriots games.
All the time.
Not for Patriots games. Patriots games, I'm up. I'm too wired. But other games, please. Especially if it's a West Coast game.
I don't fall asleep on the Panthers in general, but I mean, it can happen. You know what I'm saying? If I could fall asleep playing a video game, anything's possible. From a great indica. I don't, no, and not me.
Once I hit 40, the whole sleep cycle, my whole sleep cycle, actually since Junior's been here, my sleep cycle is jacked. I used to be able to sleep late. I can't sleep late anymore, like at all.
See, Moana, that's how I knew it was brothers.
See, I don't play video games anymore. So, going to sleep, I don't know. My son, that was my son. I told you, I had him as a baby, and I was trying to play.
Same thing for me.
With a baby, and I was like, man, this is stupid. And I put the thing down. I put that thing down. I ain't picked it up in 4 years.
I still game, man. I game all the time.
It's the same.
But I'm also thinking that now I'm at the point now where I'm like, man, I got a page to finish, or I got a podcast to get ready for.
I'm working on that. I'm working on that because I swear to beans, like I had every John Madden football game. I think the first one came out in '92. I had all of them up until 2009 when I had my son, and my son had Madden Radar. I swear to you, he did. It was the most impressive thing it's one of the most impressive things I've ever seen him do. He could be knocked the F out sleep. I'm talking about either just went to sleep or been asleep for hours, whatever. It didn't matter. If I'm playing the computer, doesn't matter. He's cool. He stays asleep. As soon as I go online to play an actual individual, this mug wake up like, what you doing, Pop? I'm hungry. I pooped. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't wake up and just be looking around. He woke up and he needed something. So now I have to get off the game and you're online. But if you're online and you get off the game, then you got to take a loss for that game. Now my rank is going to be affected. And I literally had to give up Madden. I gave up Madden. I didn't play Madden for like 5-6 years. I had to put it down. I still play other games when I could because I don't have to go online to do it. You know what I'm saying? Or it doesn't negatively affect me if I do. Like if I'm on Call of Duty in the middle of a match, I can dip out and it don't make no difference. Madden, I'm about to let my ranking get affected like that. And my son did it every time. Like I'm not even exaggerating. I'm dead serious. I could be playing Madden for 4 hours straight, just the computer. The moment that I go online to play a person, Daddy, I got poop in my diaper, bro. So I'm gonna need you to go ahead and jump on that. Like it was clockwork. It was insane. Because I wouldn't have given up Madden for any other reason. I promise you that.
I used to be a beast on Madden. I haven't touched it.
I don't believe it.
Sir,
I don't believe it.
I mean,
I don't believe it.
You know, give me a couple weeks and to get back in the flow of it and we can prove it. You know, it's not hard. It's not hard. Just give me a couple weeks. Not with Madden. Not with I haven't played with this year Madden. I don't know about Mac Jones and Madden. I was a Patriots guy, but I'm with you, Mason. I gotta head out too, man. It's 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
and, we could definitely
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I know. That conversation was so in depth.
At least we did the list. At least we
Yeah,
did
we
do the
got
list.
there. We got there.
We appreciate y'all for watching, man.
Absolutely, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate you.
Yeah,
we
man.
appreciate you for coming
You're
through, bro. We
welcome
appreciate
anytime,
you being a
brother.
part of this with us, man. So definitely open invitation. Just let us know when you want to come through, bro, and you know we'll get you up here, yo. We appreciate you for real.
The pill, brother.
Are we
There we go.
gonna do the list that we talked about next
Which
week?
one?
The draft.
Oh, you don't want that smoke, bro.
Nah, you know what? I'm calling it. We do. Listen, y'all.
I'm trying to tell y'all you don't want this.
Everybody, okay?
Right.
We doing a top 5 draft of NBA players all time.
I swear to you, if I don't get Michael Jordan, I quit. I'm telling you that right ahead of time.
You can't talk about smoke and then be like, I'm gonna quit because I'm gonna get Michael Jordan. Anyway, we're gonna do that next week. And so tune in, and we might have a special guest or two. We don't know yet. So,
it'll be Danny will be back next week. Danny's him and his wife's anniversary is this week, so they're celebrating, and we definitely want to say happy anniversary to them.
Happy anniversary,
and we love you, bro. And we love you, sis. And I hope you guys are enjoying it. We love y'all, man. Thank y'all for watching tonight.
Thank you.
We'll get up out of here. Next week, the draft. Watch me stomp these mugs. All right. Love y'all.
All right, everybody. Take care.
Peace out.
Mm-mm.